Hello there, and welcome to Agile World Better English. Agile World was created by Sabrina Bruce and Carl Smith to focus on agility within a global community. We're just one of the many Agile World. Okay, stop. What are we now? I got to start over because there are so many different languages. What do we call ourselves?
Agile World. Well, we're still Agile World Better English.
I know, but
we're
like
still Agile
one
World
of the
Better
many,
English.
I know, but we're one of the many Agile World teams. Do you see what I'm saying? We have Agile, okay.
Flavors.
I would just say
Flavor,
Agile
okay,
World
flavors.
is being produced in many languages. So
yeah, okay. Agile World's produced in many languages, and we're just one. We're just the better English one.
We're the better English.
Yeah. Okay.
Better.
Well, because
that was the Brits' idea.
Sabrina and Carl are English, and we're better English. Just so you know. And I guess I'll say that too, because people always ask.
I still think there's a British Empire. Don't they? Don't
we are two countries separated by a common language.
Okay. Ready? Get set.
Yes.
Hi. Welcome to Agile World Better English. Agile World was created by Sabrina Bruce and Carl Smith to focus on agility within a global community. We're just one of the many flavors of Agile World. There's the UK version of English. We have Indian dialect. We have Spanish. We have French. And of course, we are the better version of English. I'm Cynthia Kahn, founder of GSD Mindset, which is an Agile consultancy. And my co-host over there, or is it there? I can never tell when we record these things, is Steve Mowbray. We're both passionate about Agile. And through this podcast, we share experiences about how others apply Agile principles in their personal and business lives to be successful. So hopefully you too can be successful in your own life. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Hey, Cynthia, thanks, and welcome to Agile World. And Max, I told you she was going to get through it this time. You didn't believe me.
Yeah, this is the third try. No, and we're not lying.
but we got through the introduction this time. So those of you, if you're watching the video, you may notice I'm not wearing my proper hat. And I apologize to Carl Smith because I know he's going to be upset with me, but I am on vacation. I'm at the beach. So I'm here, and I remembered to bring all my equipment except the hat. Don't tell Carl because he's going to be upset. And if you do tell Carl, then I'm going to tell Sabrina on you. So, and Sabrina will protect me. Carl won't, but Sabrina will. So anyway, so today we are, and I'm at the beach at Ocean City, Maryland, and it is mid-October.
Ocean City, Maryland. Do you know I lived in Maryland, right? Because I went to University of
Yes.
Maryland, College Park, Maryland. Okay.
Yep, that's right. So, and I went swimming about an hour ago, and it is way too cold to be swimming right now. It's mid-October. That was just stupid of it, but it was, you know. And that's why I'm wearing a sweatshirt now.
And we're in Texas, so we're like not even hardly dressed.
But it's cold now. It's cold.
If you're listening to a podcast, 80s. You'll imagine us nearly naked. There you go.
All right. Anybody see the Lego? Anybody see the Lego movie?
No.
Honey, where are my pants? One of my favorite lines. I've heard that line at least 2,000 times from my 11-year-old son. So, anyway, we are here with Max, and he and Cynthia have been friends for a long time, and we're very excited, and we're going to go into all kinds of wonderful stuff. So, Cynthia or Max, or somebody introduce Max.
I'll introduce Max. Max Ekesi is the current president of Agile Austin, which is a nonprofit Agile group out of Austin, Texas. And for over a decade, he has been the facilitator of the Leader Special Interest Group. So he has seen a lot of Agile stuff, and he knows a lot of Agile stuff. And so we thought today, because he is a thought leader from the Leader SIG, we would ask him about his ghost of Agile Past, how he feels about Agile Present, and his vision for Agile Future.
Ooh.
So,
yes.
Ooh,
are you ready? Are you
This
ready,
is an Agile
folks?
I would
story.
love you to tell me a little bit about the Max of Agile Past. Would you share that with us, please?
Well, thank you for asking, Cynthia.
My
Pleasure
pleasure.
to meet you, Steve. And
Hey,
let
man.
me tell you about the Agile Past.
Okay.
I am so happy to be here to share this with y'all. That's my one Texas word that I know. 20
There you go.
years
There you go.
I've been in Austin. So that's my whole professional career. And my Agile Past started back in 2006. And it started because there was actually a necessity in the place I was at. We had to support a large e-commerce site, one of the largest in the world. And there was always a need to make changes very quickly because, customer feedback, companies that had their own e-commerce site on our platform, et cetera, et cetera. This was way before the Amazon days that they took over the world, right? So we were doing a lot, but we had to do it faster and faster. And hence the need for speed to market, having to get quick feedback loops and make changes. The old traditional project management way of doing things just did not work, right? Putting these Gantt charts and work breakdown structures that would go out like a year and a half into it just didn't work. So we started to implement this 2-week iterative cycles that we called sprints. And all of a sudden we were like, well, we might not be able to get it done in 2 weeks, but we got darn close. And then all of a sudden we're like, this works. It actually works. We can get quick feedback loops. We meet every day. We're demoing stuff. We're integrating the feedback into the work we did. It just felt good. It felt good. And since 2007 onwards, I have been leading Agile transformations at Fortune 30 companies. Somehow I've always worked at large corporations. I don't know what it'd be like in a startup to wear multiple hats and to get stuff done like by the hour, right? I just don't know. I'd be in crisis mode. But I've led Agile transformations, and I could go on and on about the Agile past because I got started in Agile when it wasn't mainstream. I got started in Agile when it was like, oh, what are you guys playing around with this Scrum and stories and backlogs? Do it for the small proof of concept efforts that we don't really care about. Go do that for that. But when people started to see that we could actually deliver things very quickly, that we could actually go much faster than the so-called other more experienced teams, it started to catch on. So from there, I was a Scrum Maxter. That was who I was at first. I know. I just had to drop it. It was sad. It still is
Max
sad.
the Scrum Maxter.
I said it. I can't take it back.
So we're going to switch for a minute because I know you and I've heard you talk about when you started the Leaders Special Interest Group through Agile Austin. What did you used to talk about 10 years ago then? Because that's what's interesting too, is right. I've heard you say this. So
you have been to my sessions, I can tell. You haven't, Steve, so we'll be expecting you in the future. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
and he has a group too. Yeah. Steve has a group.
So I have to come to your group too. So the scenario is this: the special interest group would meet every month talking about leading Agile transformations. And at first, when we met we're actually in our 10-year anniversary, November 2011 is when we started. Yes. And we would talk about things in regards to how do you estimate a user story? How do you do release planning properly? How can you train a team on Scrum? How can you, all these things that were very process-wise and how to do things, because a lot of people were just not aware about having to do that. Fast forward to the last few years, Agile is so mainstream now. I mean, Agile is discussed in the Harvard Business Review. It's a done deal. I mean, it's mainstream.
Are we in Agile Present now?
No. Yes, it's true. You know what? I'll just
he's still the goat. He's still the goat.
Tell us when you just tell me when you've got to Agile Present.
I will pause there because you might have another question about the past, because it's interesting to see what we were discussing then and what we're discussing now in the circles that I facilitate.
Okay.
in 2006, back in your Agile past, right? So you guys started doing things faster, which is great. Hopefully you were doing the right thing, which I think is more important than just going faster. Just producing the right thing is far more complicated. But what was the challenge then? I mean, come on, people were looking at you like you were crazy.
Yes,
I'm sure.
very much
right?
so. And so two things. First, let me call out something that you said, Steve. You're going faster. Well, hopefully you were doing the wrong thing. Well, you know what's interesting about going faster, Steve, that even if you're doing the wrong thing,
right?
Even if you're doing the wrong thing, you'll get the feedback loops much faster. So even if you're doing the wrong thing, you'll find out in a matter of 2 weeks or even much earlier that you're doing the wrong thing. In the old days, you could do the wrong thing for 6 months. And
that's true.
It just
That
would
is
continue.
so true.
Yep.
It would continue, and reports would just be green, and everything is dandy, and it's still the wrong thing. So, to go to your point about how would you do this? Like, you'd be stared at as being the crazy folks and everything like that. And grassroots, I will always say, we always got a lot of traction. Grassroots, like people, it clicked with people. It clicked with the developers. It clicked with the testers. It clicked, like they could get more direct contact with the product folks and build stuff and talk about their stuff and it was nice. We're just not going to go to a status meeting facilitated by the PMO office and look at Gantt charts and work breakdown structures. We're actually going to talk about the working software. It clicked with a lot of people. Like that challenge was when you went layers up into management, senior management, where there was a centralized command and control structure. It would always be like, what are you doing? I want more reporting. I want more statusing. So you always had that thing about, don't you just care about if we get the work done? Call out the features you want to see. Call out the milestones. Be project timeline based. We don't care because we can always get it done faster. We know that. But there was where the struggle was about people having to be open to a new way of doing things. It sounds so common because you're thinking, we're in the technology field. The world is changing faster than it ever has in our human existence. And decision makers and leaders and executives know that. But still, a lot of people were challenged with giving up that command and control. Those weekly reports that didn't talk about anything about working software and delivery. It was percentage completion and this and that. And yes, I can give you a high level, but don't tell me about like how many hours we're spending on what feature. Just know that we're halfway there and we're on schedule. Trust us. So I think that was the challenge. That was the challenge at first, which, not to go to present, but now a lot of things in the Agile world are better understood and accepted. And some battles that we used to have then, we don't have anymore. And
but
that's
I challenge you. I am challenging
progress.
you. I'm challenging you
again. I get
because
challenged.
you know that your upper management still wants a status report. Don't lie to me. Do not lie to me. Right?
Cynthia, you are correct. But nowadays, we have evolved to the part that upper management can accept a JIRA report. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal because that is a report that is created from data that is already in the tool. We don't have to break away and create a new PowerPoint status report. We don't have to call people in and send a PowerPoint out to people to update stuff. No, they can actually survive with a report from like an automated tool. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
It is. Do they actually log into JIRA or
sometimes also, yes. Okay. Cynthia, we're making progress.
Are we almost to the present?
As a senior manager myself, we're making progress. Oh. Are we done with the past? Are we done with the past?
You tell me, dude. Do you feel better? Do you feel better?
There's one more thing I want to say about the past.
Okay.
And that has to do with why I got so involved with Agile Austin. Okay. Because sometimes I would say things. I would want to push for certain new, innovative, out of the box thinking about, let's do a retrospective and let's gamify it. Let's make it fun. Let's make it anonymous so people don't have to say stuff in front of their manager. Let's just do this. And people would like stare at me as if I had two heads, as if I wasn't speaking better English, right? And
Thank you.
And it was, and it took a toll. It took a toll on me. But then I had this world of Agile Austin. I would step in there and I'd be like, hey, you know what? How about this idea? And they're like, yes, we did that. And it works great. But don't do that because it's not very well understood yet. And it was like my compadres. It's like, yes, I'm not crazy. Because sometimes you get the feeling when you're trying to.
And you still might be a little.
I don't believe you're not. Let's not go crazy.
Well, I'm among a bunch of other crazy people. Yes, okay, maybe that. But there is a sense that you get when you swim against the current enough. When you're the only one that is calling out certain things, you start to say, maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But then you meet with another group of folks that have had success, that have accomplished things, have added value to end users and customers, doing the same thing that you're saying. And that is such a big deal. It's priceless. For anything else, there's American Express. Yes.
Oh, but you're not advocating that you have to,
Oh.
you're not advertising for that.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Cut that.
No, we're not going to. You don't work for American Express, right?
No, I don't.
I knew that.
I work for another company that has to do with online payments, but it's like, that's what I call out. But so I think that was the key thing I wanted to slip in there from the past. That is why I got involved with Agile Austin. I've been a member for 12 years and on the board for a few years, president right now, because it's just, you need to surround yourself with folks that, push the envelope, think outside the box, and are very open to change with an Agile mindset. It really helps.
What is Agile Austin?
Oh, yeah,
Agile
tell us.
Austin is a nonprofit organization based in Austin. And
Texas.
what we do, Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas, y'all.
Y'all.
We're not yet on the map globally. We're not. So it's in Austin, Texas. It was formed back in 2007. And what it mainly does, it's like knowledge sharing, educational. We have about 7 to 8 meetup sessions now because we've not met in person since March 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about having to share best practices, knowledge around Agile topics. And we have
it's a pretty good sized group too, right?
Keep Austin Agile Conference is coming up on November 5th, a little plug-in. It's a virtual conference.
How do they find out about that before we get into it?
They find out by go to agileaustin.org. agileaustin.org.
And that's virtual, right?
And then /KAA, Keep Austin Agile. And it's virtual November 5th from 9 a.m. to noon Central Time, 3 hours. That's what we're going to do. And so we have the conference, we have these meetup groups every month, and it's according to what your interest is. We have one for coaching, we have one for Scrum Masters, we have one for DevOps, we've got a product one, we've got the one that I lead, which is the leading Agile transformations. So it's just an organization that shares the Agile love, Steve. And we're going to look forward to you joining us in some of our meetups.
And you
Awesome.
know who else leads a
attended a few.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Erin.
Erin.
Right? We interviewed her, and so you should go and look up.
Erin is awesome.
She has the
I
coaching.
dare say as awesome as I am. As awesome as I am. Yes.
Okay. So now we're in the present. So how do you feel about Agile now as a leader, as a manager,
Yes.
as an Agile person?
Very good question, Cynthia. I have 2 very strong feelings. One, extremely optimistic. One, I hope we change direction on this. Which one do you want me to start with?
I want to know the changing direction and then how we're going to get more optimistic.
Yes. So back when I got started in Agile 10 years back, it wasn't very well known. It wasn't very popular. It wasn't a profit-making machine for a lot of people. So it was very organic, grassroots. Let's get in there. Let's do, let's learn, let's do. And that was where everybody came from. Now, you know, as I said, Agile has gone mainstream. There are a gazillion Agile consulting firms. There's a gazillion Agile certifications. There's a gazillion, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure you understand where I'm going. There's a huge Agile industrial complex that is going on. And sometimes I get involved in sessions and everything. And I was like, wait, hold on. How come we're just talking about pitching a tool? Because I didn't know that the explanation of the meetup and everything that was involved had nothing to do with selling this tool, right? Or promoting a certain tool. I'm like, wait a second. And it goes on into the certifications and everything. And I like it when people learn. I love it that people go and get certified, or a lot of consulting companies are sharing the knowledge, are sponsoring conferences and everything. But when you have a scenario where there is a huge Agile industrial complex, that can sometimes overlap into the true essence of the Agile mindset. Overlap and take away the focus from truly being Agile, which you can be Agile and have an Agile mindset and approach problems and solve things and add more value to the end user, very much so, without a lot of other things that are being shared and are out there in the ecosystem of Agile. I hope that was clear in regards to what I hope we can maybe be more aware and, you know, make sure that we have that channeled in a certain way.
So how are you going to feel better? What could happen that would make you feel better?
Oh, I've got the solution now.
Oh,
Hey,
you do? Oh, good.
I've got the solution. No, I just
we don't want to cry.
Like, oh no, I need to have the solution to that. No, I think that what could be made better is that when people learn Agile, take it back to the basics, right? Don't just jump into a process framework or a certification and everything. I've had a lot of people approach me saying, hey, I just got certified and everything. Can you get me a job in your company? And I'm like, tell me about your experience. Tell me about when you leverage an Agile mindset to solve a problem or to deliver value to the customer. Like, tell me about it. Like, I try continuously to take it back to, you know, what is it that you use in that mindset? Because to me, Agile, more than anything else, is a mindset. It's a mindset. It's a way of having to approach things, a way of thinking through things in a critical manner. And so I would just hope, when you asked me, Cynthia, how would I fix it? I would just promote like, you know, organizations or sessions or meetups where it's just about coming together and learning the basics of building an Agile mindset. Start with that. Then go on to other stuff. Go on to getting whatever certification, career path, whatever it is. But let's encourage people to start at the basics.
Now, what is your definition of an Agile mindset? And I bring that up because this has been the year that I've been focusing on Agile mindset the most, because I've seen some disasters. January, February, I saw some absolute disasters because Agilists that didn't have an Agile mindset were doing some really crazy stuff.
And they called it Agile too. And they called it Agile too. So it's a confusion. What is Agile? What is not?
Well, so what's the difference between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, in your words, or the Agile mindset?
Yes. So my Agile mindset, okay? And it's Agile because I connect it very much to the 4 values of the Manifesto. I appreciate the 12 principles, but the 4 values,
okay,
especially.
Can you tell us that? Because not everyone knows Agile. So if you're mentioning something, we're going to make sure you know it.
Yes.
If you have to look it up, we'll wait.
No. Individuals and interactions. 1. Working software. Okay. Customer collaboration. Responding to change. Those
Yes.
are the 4 ones. And if you think about those, they are so powerful, because when I approach something, okay, my mindset will dictate how I approach it. Okay.
Exactly.
First thing, and I could, oh my goodness, Steve, I could talk about this for hours. But in summary,
Please don't.
You asked me a question, and how am I going to summarize it? So those 4
it's one of the things that people don't talk about enough. I believe. Yeah.
Yes, and those 4 values, like for me, they make 100% sense, and every time I use them in life, personally or professionally, things click. For me, they click because responding to change alone, we have to be extremely adaptive. Sometimes I switch agile and being adaptive sometimes because, as I said, we live in a world that is changing faster than it ever has before. I mean, and we'll talk about that more in the future agile stuff.
There we go.
But you have to meet with your product manager, and before you even start to think about business requirements, documents, and all of that, you just meet and you say, what are you trying to achieve? What do you need? And the product manager might be able to, in 3 sentences, say, I need a customer support site that has a chat function that can actually get people to these 3 categories so we can do. And then you tell them, enough. I've heard enough for now. Let me brainstorm about that with a few folks and everything. And I'll just come up with like a mock or like a demo or something like that. Like, wow. But we sometimes are stuck in our structure of business requirement documents, backlog, features, stories, stuff like that. Like, how can you actually, think about your interactions with people? Think about how can I translate what this person is saying into working software and show something very quickly and get the feedback loops. The feedback loops and adapt.
Yep. I would like to point out that even if you're not developing software, the same principles apply, right? So you're developing something. You have something deliverable, something you can put in your customer's hands, and you're trying to solve a problem.
Bingo.
Agile teams cannot be agile if they're not trying to solve a problem.
You can,
right? If they're not trying to create something for the customer. And so you have conversations with product managers, but you may have conversations with stakeholders or customers. And whoever that is, what is ailing you? And now let us focus on that. And yes, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 years ago, we thought this. But now, based on what we've learned, because we can learn, we are capable because we have an agile mindset, not a fixed mindset, right? We can learn. So now, based on what we've learned, we have a new solution. We can have a better solution. Yes. And that's where it really comes down to. Yes.
And Steve, 100%. And I cannot reiterate or reemphasize enough the importance of speed. The importance of speed at which you adapt, speed at which you get the feedback loop, speed at which you put something out there in front of them in your test environment, your production environment, to your stakeholders, to your product, whomever, and get those feedback loops going very fast. Because the case study after case study, you see companies that there's no reason they should have failed. Blockbuster should have never allowed Netflix to dominate in their space. It didn't even make sense. And yet,
Sears was the first mail order shop in the universe.
Yes, and you see stuff like that. And I wouldn't even get into Nokia dominating over 50%, and then Apple started making a phone. Samsung, they're making fridges and whatever. Like all of a sudden, where's Nokia? Like they did not adapt at the speed that if they had 10 more years, they might have actually made it. But speed is important.
Because they fell in love with technology, right? They fell in love with technology or whatever was in their head and not their customer. So customer I think that's what is the real key to agility. If you're using it in your business, is to understand, is to fall in love with your customer first, and your brain. I mean, I've worked at companies where executives would go to bed, they wake up in the morning, I want to do this, and you're like,
like,
but
hold on, who did you
what?
talk to in your
I mean,
sleep? Who
right,
did you
and
talk
then
to in your sleep of your end users or customer to decide that?
and then exactly, we have to focus on our customer. We have to provide value, because you know what? Without the customer, you don't have a business, right?
You have to add value to somebody,
To
something,
somebody, please.
someone. Like, you have to add some kind of value. And the best way to know how you're adding that value is to give them something and get the feedback. Get the feedback from them, right? Because until that happens, you truly won't know how much value you're adding. I have seen people, I'll just conclude that I have seen people in program status presentation say, yeah, that's what we want. You're going on track. And when we deploy to production, it's live. It's like, ooh, I see a bunch of defects. What would you mean defects? Like, it works the way you wanted it to work. But that's not really going to do it, because everything has to be based on working software in the technology space. Steve has a point that sometimes we shouldn't just talk about agile
Working solution. Working solution.
A
It has to
working
be a solution that
We
works.
have to give feedback on the working solution and nothing else. All right. Well, something else too, but that's the most important one. Okay.
Ooh,
Dun,
the
dun,
future.
dun.
Do, do, do.
Dun, dun, dun.
Future.
The future is predicted by Max
What's next?
Ekesi. What is it? What
I've
do
got
you
a good
see?
one for the future. I got a good one for the future.
What do you see?
I actually thought about this before I
Because
came
I told
on this
you that I was gonna
podcast.
ask.
Well, because you told me too, but folks, I'm not saying I'm Nostradamus. I'm not saying I'm Nostradamus. But I had an experience where I felt as if I saw the future. I experienced the future. Allow me to tell you a story.
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball.
Let me tell you.
Someone that I know very well, and for the sake of not sharing names and everything, let's call this person
George.
Susan.
I like George.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Susan.
thought you were going to say
Susan.
Bob.
I didn't say Bob. I didn't say George. I said Susan.
Okay, so the
Allow me.
person is Susan.
Susan. Susan told me once a story that I'll never forget. She said, do you know what happened? I worked on this consulting project with an agency, right? And the agency told me, go and get all this work done. And Susan, from requirements gathering, development, testing, database, everything, went on AWS, learned about all the services that were out there. I'm not promoting anything. It could be any cloud service, but this was the story from Susan. Learned how to use the 19 different AWS services that she used, whether APIs, database stuff, connections, all the performance tracking stuff, cybersecurity tools and everything, delivered the whole project herself. So when it came to give you scope about what that meant, because you can say, oh, but that was a small project, Susan.
It's a lot of stuff.
This was a story. This exact scenario that Susan shared cracked me up, because it shows the challenge between the future and where people are stuck. They went to a meeting with the stakeholders, okay, where the agency was delivering this software to the stakeholders. And the stakeholders were like, this is incredible. You got all of this stuff done. And you know what? We were struggling with this with another team for a whole year. And you got it done in 3 months. This is where's your team? Bring your whole team here. We want to congratulate them. So the account manager pointed to Susan and said, Susan's the team. And everybody there was like, no. Show us the team. The database administrator, the front-end UI, the developer, the product manager, the project manager, show it, bring the whole team. And I'm just trying to tell you that Susan did all the work. And in that moment, Susan told me, at first, the stakeholders were so pleased about the value they had gotten in this short amount of time on something that they've been struggling for and weren't able to achieve in a year. they went to be extremely frustrated and angry because they were like, this is a rotten deal. You charged us all this just for one person? One person? No. What's the hourly rate of Susan? How can you? And so all of a sudden, that is the future is we will need much fewer people thanks to AI and a bunch of other disruptors to get work done. But then people are still stuck in you need to have a team of like this person and this person and this person and this person. So when you ask me, what is the future? The future is people that might never have ever coded before, people that might never have ever done architectural work and a bunch of other stuff will get very familiar at interacting with AI tools and automation in place, click and drag stuff that they will work directly with whomever the people that are actually doing the work, sales, marketing folks, because those people are too busy doing their job. So they can't actually do the work of having to work with all this different technology to make things happen. But then you will have people that work directly in close interaction with the people that need the software, make things happen, and be just handing stuff over to them every other day. So the future is much smaller teams, faster teams that are able, because as you decrease size, you decrease complexity, you decrease a lot of things, and you increase automation. And this is not like, this happened in the automotive space. It happened very much so. There's like robots and all these other things. What makes us think it's not going to happen exponentially in our space? And I will just conclude that an agile mindset can help teams adapt to change. If leaders and executives can have that same mindset, they can start to train people for what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years. They can start to prepare people. They can start to understand what skill sets, what org structures, how do we have to position things so that when we have all this technology and AI that does a lot of work that people are doing, what are we going to have everybody else doing? Because there's certain things that AI will never be able to do as well as humans will. There is. Let's focus in on that.
You mean like customer, customer or communication, understanding that translation of what they're saying to what they really want kind of thing, and then giving it to them and as soon as possible, so you can find out that they just really said, oh yeah, you gave me what I said, but that really wasn't what I meant, because now that I see it, it's not what I really want. Is that what you're talking about?
Cynthia, as we say in Texas, I smell what you're stepping in.
Oh yeah.
I heard that at a Willie Nelson concert a week after I got to Texas. I'm like, oh my God, guess what I heard, folks? Guess what I heard? Hey. But to sum it all up, AI will never be able to understand another human as well as a human will understand another human. I can understand sarcasm. I can understand jokes, and I can understand facial expressions and everything much better than the AI can. And I can build that relationship and I can build that trust. And that is where the focus should be. And I feel that a lot of times now I see people that are being, brought up in a career chain and everything, that those skill sets are not focused on, right? And that is something that I think, looking at the future, the most adaptive organizations and companies will be the ones to survive. Simple Darwinian theory.
Those that create their own, we create our own reality. So businesses with the customer in mind should create business processes that can bring products to market faster, right?
Extremely
is that what you see?
Fast. Extremely fast. I mean, I'm not even like, it will get to the point where if I'm not getting the services or the value from a particular product in the future, I'll just switch. I'll just switch. Like without even thinking, like, now how we're like, I have a Gmail account. Oh, Gmail's crashing on me or whatever. Like, I'm not going to switch out my Gmail. Everybody knows my Gmail account. Everybody like, I'm connected to that Gmail account. Well, in the future, technology will be so that, hey, this crashed on me twice in the last week. Hold on a second, right? We will just have like an ability to switch between products and services, like way more advanced than now. So the faster companies can provide that value and continue, it's not enough just to provide it once.
I know.
You have to continue improving in how you provide the value and all the various, and we could go on, but that's my summary for the future. Susan gave me a taste of what the future could be like. And there isn't anything else I've experienced that tells me it's not going to go in that direction. Right.
And then the answer to Susan, to the customer's response to how much is Susan per hour? And you go, what is the value that woman is providing you, the functionality, the product value, and that's what you should go on. Maybe you should give us double. That's what you should give us double because we got it done and you already wasted a year.
Yeah,
and that's what they felt.
Solution,
and that's what they felt at the start. Like, I think the funniest thing about it is that that's what they felt.
That's what they
Of
felt.
the meeting. And then halfway through the meeting, they just got straight up angry. She said, and you're like, wait a second. But the mindset is not yet there in a lot of people's mind about value and paying for the value and moving on. Right.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, and you can hear the conversations you have. Sometimes you'll talk with people, and they'll talk about people in the organization, and they'll use the term people, or sometimes they'll use the term resources. And if you're using the term resources, you probably see everybody as a cog, and it doesn't really matter. And you're hoping they're all interchangeable, right? Right. But we know people don't. Right. People have different skills. People interact. People require trust. You have to build the team. So it's going to be interesting. I think more and more organizations that are going to thrive, and you can hear it. They have the conversations. They talk about people as people. They talk about the holistic view of what the issues are and what the solutions are. Not just I'm going to fix this in my little area and not worry about the whole. But it's definitely, and it's all based on the mindset. It's all based on the mindset. We can learn to grow. We can do new things that we've never done before. But that's because we have to have the mindset. So I love the fact that you keep bringing that one up.
Reiterate that. And Steve, I am an optimist, just like I get the feeling that you're an optimist. That now we're talking about people instead of resources. But I scratch my head sometimes, Steve, and I'm thinking we've talked so much about trust and psychological safety and, empower people and give them the autonomy. And as soon as I bring up a random concept like, hey, why don't we form that team? And why don't we just trust the team with a budget to just go get the work done? What? Are you crazy? I need to approve that. But don't you trust them? Yes, but I need to know what if they want to spend it on training.
Job.
If they want to spend, that's my job to make sure like they get
I get a bonus based on how much we spend.
and I need to tell them, which tools to use. And I need to tell them if they can hire a person full-time or a contractor to join the team. I'm like, but you trust the team, you want to empower the team, they own the delivery, let them just run with it. But I feel as if a lot of times there's a lot of talk about empowering and trust and psychological safety. But when it really gets down to, the important things, I feel as if there's not been a paradigm shift yet in a lot of
there hasn't. And I think you've definitely nailed it. And one of the challenges I've seen most or in conversations that I often have is, well, I let them make that decision once and it didn't turn out well. I'm like, did you empower them or did you set them up to fail? Because there's what were the steps you took to empower them? Well, I told them they could make the decision. It's like, That's not empowering people. That's setting them up to fail. Let's face it, right? So there's a process. You have to help people. You have to make sure they're enabled. You have to make sure they understand the big picture. You have to make sure they understand the problem being solved. Many organizations don't, many people in the organization don't know that. So they just know I have to deliver this little piece of code, and that's all I can do. And they might have a brilliant idea, but we're not tapping into that.
Oh, yes. I mean, God forbid they come up with an idea that is not aligned with what they had to deliver. I'm like, and that idea might end up like allowing them to deliver things much faster then and in the future. But there's not a story.
So what would you
on
do
that.
to change that to influence the future that you envision, Max?
Oh,
and then
Cynthia,
we'll end with that.
Another
thought.
good question.
Deep
Another good
thought.
question. Another good question. And I believe I have the answer. No, just
Oh, of course
joking.
you do. Good,
Of course you do, Max.
I didn't doubt that.
I will just conclude that with all the different talks that there have been and empowerment and everything, I think that the most decisive thing is pushing decision making, all decision making. And this is where people like freak out. All decision making to the team. Like, you know, do you need to hire more people? Do you need to get trained? Do you like just tell them the budget? Just be straight up with them. Like, here is what it is. You have $2 million. Your salaries right now take up
$2 million.
1.2. No, okay, I'm just shooting out numbers.
$1 million.
Right? $1 million. Like, you've got $2 million for this project, which is 7 months. Your salaries on the team are going to take 1.2. Just work with the product manager and get it done. However you spend it, whatever, things you make, just do it as a team, right? And then step back and just let them fail and learn and struggle through it and all of that. Now, that is my solution, which in the long run, you will waste a lot more. You will waste a lot less on management. You will waste a lot less on, overhead to make sure like people will solve things. Now, there are a lot of other things you have to have in place, but the key thing to your answer is push decision-making down. Like push it. Can you all do this with me too? Push down.
Push down. Well, we're not pushing on people. Okay, we're not pushing on people.
We're not pushing on people. No.
We want to start at the bottom. We want to lift them up too, right? So we want to make sure we can empower them.
You lift them, I'll push down decision making.
And they'll be like
Yes.
pancakes now.
But they will be fully empowered. Fully empowered.
Fully empowered people pancakes. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I feel empowered. Thank you.
Yeah, and we have to learn how to empower people. And it's not just saying, all right, you're now empowered, right? Because that is just setting them up to fail.
It's words. It's words.
We have to make sure we do the whole process. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'll just conclude with, I just wish sometimes that people would stop saying that so much. Oh, we empower you. Oh, you can feel psychologically safe. And you could, I understand they're trying to get there. But it's actions. All these words, I've heard so many words after words after words. And at some point, we need actions.
Yeah. I've never trusted anybody that said, you are now psychologically safe.
Oh my
But you should feel, hey, Steve, being psychologically safe is very important to us. So it should be important to you too. Okay?
Yes. Okay, I feel psychologically safe.
There you go.
You better feel safe.
Now I'm going to leave this meeting because I got some other things to do that are more important, but you stay and learn how to be psychologically safe. Okay?
Right. Absolutely. And if you don't, you'll be fired.
Oh, Steve, that's dramatic. Come on.
We'll just take away your birthday. Okay.
You'll be marginalized, might not get a promotion. Hey, that's all.
Okay. Time out.
All right.
We
So
are
let's
so
empower
beyond.
Cynthia
We
here.
are beyond. We're beyond time. Now we're beyond time. So Max, tell us where to find you, what you want us to know about you. How can we party with you later, baby, because you are a fun dude.
Oh, stop. I'm starting to feel special.
You're starting to feel safe now.
Special and safe at the same time.
Psychologically
Yes,
safe.
the best way to contact me is on LinkedIn. That is the only
Woo!
social media tool I use. I'm trying to ramp up. It's an iterative thing for me. Max, and then my last name is Ekesi, Ekesi. And find me and ping me on LinkedIn. Let's connect and let's start talking about all things Agile. Okay?
And we'll make sure that links to that, links to Agile Austin, they will all be in the show notes afterwards. So when you find this podcast or you find us on YouTube or our website, it will all be there.
Woo!
Okay.
And thank you, Steve and Cynthia, for this opportunity to come here and share thoughts on my Agile mindset and for having to make it so much fun. Thank you for the
You were
experience.
fun. We forgot to
Thank you,
tell
Matt.
you all the
Thank you,
places
Matt.
that your friends and family can be with you and learn about Agile World. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr. Oh, our website is agile-world.news. Our podcasts are on Spotify. I've got to read this. Spotify, Apple, Google, Pocket Cast, Anchor, Breaker, Public Radio, Stitcher, and Castbox. And if you have, dang, yeah, we're taking over. If you have any ideas or you want to appear on Agile World Better English, let us know. You can email us at Cynthia@agile-world.news or Steve@agile-world.news. Also, Steve and I are regular members and users of LinkedIn ourselves. So that's probably one of the best places to find us. And I think I've mentioned, have I forgotten anything, Steve? Please let me know.
I think that's fine, and everybody can find us and LinkedIn. I haven't been checking my LinkedIn today, and I noticed that I had like 47 updates just because I haven't been on LinkedIn yet today because I'm on vacation, or at least I should be on vacation.
47.
How long is this vacation, Steve? It sounds like a sabbatical.
Yeah,
Okay?
really.
It started
A whole
last
day.
night. It started last night, so. and I had two work calls today. Actually 3. So.
Oh, you are not empowered. You're not.
But
empowered.
I was taking them while walking down the beach. So I was. So that's different. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's a little bit
exactly.
different.
Sorry, Steve. You're setting the wrong bar.
This was anyway. This was absolutely awesome. I look forward to seeing everybody, and this recording will come out very, very soon. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.